Thank you, Shiraj, for the words and the welcome. And so nice to see many people here. I hope you've had a good first day. And I'm sure you're wondering what an unexpected journey to marketability testing is. And of course, wherever you're from, whatever kind of you're working with, if it's games or if it's films or if it's just working with a different craft completely, I think all of us have a pretty unexpected journey from what we actually imagine it being. So I just want to share a snippet of my unexpected journey and why I think it was quite unexpected and why I ended up where I am today. So thank you for joining me. A little bit about myself. I've been in the industry for around 12 years. And I've been working as a lead or a director for the last 7 years. I've been in many different types of companies, so all the way from startups, worked from higher game dev studios, been working with my own outsourcing, and all the way to established AAA and mobile game dev studios. Some of the titles that I've had in the past is, I started as a 3D artist and character artist, going to lead artist, lead character artist, and then eventually art director. And just to mention a few IPs I've been working on Formula 1, Payday, which you might be familiar with, is one of the biggest co-op games that was on Steam for a few years ago. And then, of course, Angry Birds 2, as you can probably see on my shirt here. Well, it's a pig, but... So let's rewind a bit. I want to go back to kind of when life was easier, right? When it was just like, okay, I have one goal and I'm going for that goal. But before that, we all, to some or less extent, at least me, I was looking at all of these games out there from back in the day and just like, okay, I want to work in this industry. Where do I start? Well, I'm from Stockholm and I'm from Sweden, so I was like, okay, DICE, I love Battlefield, I'm a Battlefield gamer. Of course, look at that art, it's wow, that's my first stop, or that's where I'm going. That's maybe my end goal even. And I think I was like 17, so, when the brain works like that, it was pretty funny. And after a while, Naughty Dog came into the picture and of course been around for a long while, but Uncharted and The Last of Us, and just looking at those games, and it was like, okay, this is where I'm going, this is what I want to do, this is, Battlefield, it was cool 2 years ago, but now I'm going for this. But hey, Blizzard's pretty cool too, right? And they make pretty good games that I've been playing for a long while. So, okay, Blizzard is, or maybe I'll just go first to DICE, second to Blizzard, third to Naughty. But I forgot about Mario and Nintendo. I need to also, of course, make a detour, go to Japan, go visit. You know what? That used enough brain power already for me, even standing here. So imagine just like back in that day when you don't really know what you want, but you want everything, but you want one thing at a time. You know how it is. But I just want to say that that's how I was thinking back then, at least. So to kind of dense it down a little bit, when I started studying, when I started in school, my easy dream journey and what I wanted to do was just, honestly, my end goal was DICE. I was like, okay, this is the only focus I have. But in the end, of course, it's like, okay, I want to land a role in this game industry. How am I going to do that? Well, first of all, that's me. I have a little bit more hair now on the top, but it's pretty similar. So when I came into school, when I started school, so this is basically the span from when I started school to basically when I left school and what the goal was. And I asked the teachers, okay, so what's the hardest thing to do in 3D? And they said, character art, don't do that. And I said, okay, I'll do character art. So I like a good challenge. So what do I need to do next? I just need to, while for me, school was the best opportunity to just get time to study and time to really do what you want. And the school that I was in, wasn't really necessarily giving me 100% of the getting ready to go into the industry. It was a lot of kind of hypothetical talk, games history, and stuff like that. Other courses that was not linked with character art. So I had to take things into my own hands. So at the time also, YouTube was not boggled with quality of for example, ZBrush tutorials back in 2009. I mean, it was barely non-existent. But a school in LA had a lot of great tutorials. They're called Gnomon. They're still around today. So, of course, thank you, Pirate Bay. While I was balancing game dev school, of course, I knew I needed contacts. I needed someone from DICE to be able to recommend me also. So I needed to work hard. I really needed to show that this is what I want. And I was having one of the courses, I was actually making a game together with a guy that's been in the industry for quite a long time as a programmer. And he said, because I asked him, do you know anyone from DICE? And he said, yeah, I do. I know an animator that I've been working with. So I got introduced to him, and he really liked what I was doing. He really liked the portfolio that I was working on. So he's like, okay, you know what? I'll recommend you, and I will make sure to give my best for you to get an internship here, or just coming to DICE, And I was working on my portfolio, and I was working on it on a really bad Dell machine, which had 1,000 pixels times 700, and it was so laggy. But I managed to do some sculpting on it. But it took time, let me tell you that. Let me just take a detour here and tell you what it felt like going to school, and also I was really addicted to compare myself to the best out there, the best in the industry. Who's the most famous? I want to do that, right? But this is what it always felt like. No matter how close you came with your 3D and everything, just it's just a bit off, I need to keep working. I need to keep doing better. Even though that it felt like this, more in reality, it was actually like this. So this was when I was still in school in 2010. And I did the soldier on the left, and to the right is a soldier made by someone at DICE. And I was like, I'm in school and I can do this, and of course I'm gonna go to DICE now. I have a recommendation, and smooth sailing from here, right? So I approached the gates of DICE. Imagine if you ever played World of Warcraft, when you approach Stormwind for the first time, it's that's the feeling, that music, just playing. Early 2010, I was in front of the gates of DICE. So what did I have in my backpack? I had a portfolio aimed towards realistic art, which was the soldier that you just saw, and of course, a few other things, the obligatory weapon that every 3D artist has to do, and all the stuff like that. I had the internal contact with the recommendation. I had a resume and a personal letter that I worked on for a long while, sent it around to people, and really getting a lot of feedback. That was like, okay, this is good, And of course, I was a Battlefield gamer, and I was really ready to work hard for my big dream. And it went something like this. I'm not quoting exactly what they said, but it was very similar to this, at least. I guarantee you. So I was like, okay, what now? What do I do? Well, first of all, I was pretty eager. So I hadn't even finished school. I had around a year left, maybe 8 months. So I was like, okay, you know what, I guess I'll just finish school and then reapply, because I thought I still had a good shot. They just said they were not taking in any interns. And actually, the guy that recommended me, he was like, he thought it was a 100% sure that I would get that internship or even get a job from the get-go. A few weeks later, I got a call from a guy that actually the guy that I was telling you about earlier that gave me the contact for DICE that I was doing the internship with. This other guy called me and said, I got your number from Peter, what's his name? And I heard really good things about you, and I've seen your portfolio, and I was just wondering if you want to come down to Gothenburg, which is the second biggest city in Sweden, and talk about a potential role. It's a newly opened company. And I was like, do you have money? Yes. So, of course I'm interested in coming down. And actually, I don't know if you know what this is, But Mindark, it's the biggest company in Gothenburg in the games industry, and in the early 2000s they made this game or this universe called Entropia Universe, and it was an MMO where you create your character and it's an MMO, right? So the sales pitch was that an American company had bought a part of Entropia Universe, and they basically wanted to create their own planet, but they also had the IP somehow of Michael Jackson. So they wanted to create a Michael Jackson planet inside of the Entropia Universe. And I was like, okay. It's my first job, right? And of course I'm gonna take it. Of course I'll take it. You know, what dice can wait, I'll do it later. I need some money now. You know, being a student is tough. So I landed my first 3D role in the games industry. And it was time for celebration. It felt really good. You know, bring out the pizza and champagne. Well, I couldn't afford champagne, but pizza. That was my first step into the games industry, and it just felt amazing. I was going to move from this kind of university city, which is called Skövde, which is like in the center part of Sweden, and I was going to relocate to Gothenburg. And I had an apartment, of course, in Skövde that was renting. So I needed to fix another apartment, and I needed to quit school. And I did. And I relocated to Gothenburg about a month before I was going to start this new and exciting Michael Jackson world as a character artist, and it was exciting. 2 weeks before I was going to start my brand new job, and I quit school. I mentioned that, right? My new boss called me, and he said, hey, so it's canceled. I was like, what's canceled? The game, the studio, everything's canceled. They pulled out. So I'm going to have to fire you now. All right, talk to you later. I spent money on pizza to celebrate this as a student. So I lost my first job before I even started. And I quit school, right? So, and I had 2 apartments on a student salary. I was like, I'm fucked if I don't do something fast, right? So I called school. I called the professor. And this was my conversation with him. I swear to God, he looked almost exactly like that. Me and Jake Peralta from Brooklyn Nine-Nine had one thing in common, and it's probably this meme at that time. And my brain was just telling me over and over, one sentence, one thing. Welcome to the games industry. On repeat in here. But I didn't give up, right? You had to be persistent. I had to really pull out all the knives that I had in my drawer and be like, okay, who do I know? What do they know? I don't know. But I need to find someone that has something that can give me money because I really need it right now, right? So I called to the guy that fired me and to a lot of other people, and the guy that actually recruited for this new job, he, of course, he felt bad and terrible about all this. I mean, who wouldn't? He said, I know this guy that has a studio. They're working with kind of a little bit mobile or a little bit Flashbook and, Flashbook, Facebook and Flash. And I called that guy, and he said, you know what, why don't you come down for an interview? And I was like, of course I will come down for an interview. This is basically my only shot before I have to basically go bankrupt before I'm 22 and move back to my parents. So I got the job. And it was more paid than the first job, so screw you, Michael Jackson world. As I said, they worked with Facebook and mobile and free-to-play at that time. And they were called Hello There Games. And they've done a lot of random stuff, let me tell you that, over the years. Really cool stuff at the same time, always trying to try new things. I guess that's both their strength and their weakness. But at Hello There, actually, I was developing, I made a game for this device, and I had that device. That was awesome. But it was a defining career moment for me because, first of all, it was for Flash and Facebook. Like, I never developed for Flash or Facebook at all, for that matter. So that was completely new. That was also the first time that I tried out Unity. And also developed for mobile. And there was so much going on, so I just wanted to give you some examples that happened there. So we're actually working on different educational games in Flash, and one example was that we were doing a game for Volvo employees that Volvo paid for to educate their employees into think smarter, lean thinking. So basically, they wanted us to educate their employees to be less lazy and more focused with a game. That was interesting. We worked on promotional games. The first game I actually worked on was Toyota paid for us to do a forklift racing game. I never heard anything so stupid, but we did a forklift racing game, and my first task in this company was to actually build a race course. I wanted to be a character artist, right? We also did platform shooters, and this was probably what they were best at, and they were actually really good at it, and these platform shooters were quite big. I think some clients, such as Santa Maria, we did a game for, and we did games for like a big company that is similar to, selling electrical appliances and stuff. Did some free-to-play games, a game called Pebbles, rest in peace. But this was actually the first kind of intro to free-to-play for me at that time. And also we also at the same time, I don't know, like this CEO, I love him, he's an awesome character, but he wants to do a lot of stuff, right, at the same time. And you probably can't tell, because all of this, plus TV commercials that I did a full TV commercial, all of this happening within 1 year. I don't even know how that is possible, but it did. So now that I had my foot in the door, I had my first job, a lot of stuff, of course, has been going on since. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. But that's at least one of the interesting parts of the story that I wanted to share with you all. So what have I learned over these 12 years as a game artist? Well, of course, that things usually don't unfold the way you think they would or wanted. But you know what? That's okay, right? Because the most important thing is that we focus on our journey rather than the destination, because always having the destination right in front of you and just constantly following it, and when you reach it, it's going to be, a new destination. Oh, I want to be good in this company, or I want to, do new things. So please just take some time to enjoy your journey rather than the destination. Focus on the people that you're working with rather than the products, because one thing, especially in this industry and working with games in general and for big companies, is that you will cancel quite a lot of games, and that's just a reality. That's how it is. So that's why I think it's more important to give your energy. Of course, you're going to give energy to the product you're working on, no matter what product it is. But if you're focusing on the people, you can get energy from each other, right? And always be observant. I think that this is something important, because this will, of course, help shape you, who you are and who you are as a colleague and a peer, or as a supervisor for that matter. So be observant, listen to people, and also be observant of the actions, what's going on around you. What does the studio management think? What does your supervisor say? What does your peer think? And the decision making. What felt good? What felt bad? Reflecting. And what do you overall like and dislike? And as humans, we are really good at remembering what's bad, right? I just told you my story. It's probably it's interesting now and it's fun to talk about, but we're usually better at remembering what's negative. So act opposite of what you haven't appreciated, right? So always think about that. Something that's important that I encourage everyone to do as soon as they step into the door, and I'm a supervisor of a new junior artist, I say, let me know what you think. Give the space to people, and also, like, very important to listen. Feedback is about two different things, right? It's an art in itself. How do you take feedback and how do you give feedback? And this is something that I always talk about, no matter if I'm at a school, talk with students, or even educate my own senior artist that's been around for 5-10 years, how to tune their feedback to, in both senses, receiving and giving, because this is something that is very important. Thinking about it in the positive way, right? Positive feedback, positive. So you always want to encourage people taking next steps in what they need to do and feeling good about it. So you can say it looks like shit and I want it to look better, but then I don't think people will care about you. So other most valuable learnings that just popped into my head while I was writing this, and I wrote this talk only for you guys here at IGDC, is that don't compare yourself or your journey to anyone else's, right? To a certain extent, this is still healthy. I just wanted to mention that. You do need to look at what's out there. You need to compare yourself to the people in the industry to have a shot at getting in, and also to approach what you actually want to do. But I did it to a certain extent where it kind of made me depressed. I was really good with the experience that I was really, really good. I could say that to myself today. But at the time, it just made me feel pretty bad, honestly. And I was struggling with that for quite a few years. So it's very important to be proud of your small victories, even when things are tough, right? So the Tom and Jerry meme, when he's very happy on the phone, that's what I felt by just getting an interview, right? You need to be proud of your small steps, even when things are tough. And as I said in the previous slide, focus on your daily journey, learnings, and people, rather than the end goals, the projects, and your ego. Because if you do focus on those first three things, what that will show everyone around you is that you do care. And why should you care? Because that's how you earn the trust of everyone around you. And that's how you also become a good game developer. If people know that you're in the room when you're talking, or when someone is talking about something, they know that you're gonna speak up when you think that something doesn't align with the values, or with the game, or with the gameplay, or with anything that we're doing, really. I mentioned also about this junior coming in, giving them the space. Let me know what you think. What do you think? I think it's very important for everyone to be respected equally, no matter what experience or even social status that they have. Respect the cleaner as you respect the CEO or the head of studio. We're really good at wasting time, right, when we're making games. Meeting here, meeting there, meeting again. We have a meeting to have coffee in the meeting. And it's just so easy, because when you're passionate about something, when you really are, you're burning about it, you're sitting in this meeting, you're like, oh, it should feel like this when you're playing. Well, it's just better to go out and do it, right? Rather than it should feel like it. So always nudge the team when focus is drifting, because this can happen very often and almost every day. And as I mentioned, dare to be vocal around what you think can improve. I think that's something that's very crucial. Of course, you should trust your own knowledge, what you learned, and what you've read about. And you need to really listen and reflect over that before you give the feedback. And if you know, you know. And if you don't know, you say you don't know, but you can find out. I'll get back to you later, you know. It's not a weakness showing that you don't know. It's more of a strength, really. Because that is also about churning vulnerability and being open to to hearing what other people think, thus earning you more trust as an individual. This is also something that's important, understanding when you're personally biased. Like for myself, I'm a die-hard kind of multiplayer PC gamer. That's how I would consider myself, and I've been for the longest of time. I play Rocket League, one of the most competitive games out there, and I'm just crazy of getting better every day. So I should not probably look at Rocket League or World of Warcraft or Counter-Strike when I'm making mobile games, right? No. Or RPG games, for that matter. We need to look at the audience, and we need to understand what's personal bias versus what is this, 15-year-old boy, what does he actually want, and not what do you want. This is something that I think is very important, and also this is what I consider when I'm hiring quite a lot. First, I always hire on personality, who you are, how you're carrying yourself. Secondly, how do you view game development, and what's your experience within game development? And then, of course, are you a good artist or not? And this is, of course, talking about the portfolio feedback earlier, also it depends on where you are, right? At some companies just want you to sit there and create the most beautiful rocks that you've ever seen, the most beautiful canyon. And that's fine. I mean, if you like doing that, by all means. But even in bigger companies, like in Rovio, for example, I always appreciate when we can have just a few artists on each team, and we can cover a lot of the game. Because we can work faster, more efficient that way. And I think we can make more quality sometimes with less people than with more people. So, I just wanted to say a few words about Rovio Stockholm. Take the opportunity while I'm here. One thing that I really value with Rovio in Stockholm, and of course, Rovio in Finland is, of course, very, very similar to this, but since we're separate entities, this is just my personal bias to you. And I do think that we have a very inclusive, diverse, respectful, and caring environment that we're working in. And it's all about, we have people coming from all over the world, right? We need to be acting in a way which we can show everyone support and feel warm, feel welcome, right? You want to do your best job, and you want the people to stay in your company. You want the people to hang around for many games, because over time, as I mentioned earlier, you build trust with people. You show them that you care, and you want people to care back, right? Transparency is do it to a big of a degree as we possibly can. Of course, there are certain things that we are not even legally allowed to tell, employees in a company environment. But transparency and honesty is always being the best. And also valuing a lot of own responsibility. Right? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And also, we trust you to be delivering this. And of course, work-life balance is also very important for your health and for your family. Taking time both for yourself and for your family, and also still being included and respected and supported, even if you cannot be there as someone as new in the industry can. And of course, I wanted to take the opportunity to just mention the amazing artists. I have 22 amazing artists right now in my team, so if you're watching this in the future, hi, you're still awesome. They have a really wide background experience, coming from a lot of different places, a lot of different game companies. We actually create all of the art in-house in our studio, and this is something that well, apart from certain type of very specific marketability videos or user acquisition art that we probably can do in Finland. But I personally prefer to do this because we're all in it together, right? We're living on the strengths of each other. We're empowering each other to also do the best. What can we do with our team size? What can we do? You can always make quality no matter how many you are. The only factor is time, right? But of course, it's not fun making a game for 3 years and then it's going to be canned. So I'd rather do it for 3 months. It's looking decent rather than amazing, and then you work with the numbers that you have. It's no coincidence that I have this shirt on me today. Who in here has played Bad Piggies 1? First Bad Piggies? Yeah, it's quite a few of you. Like, how many? 10, 20% of you, maybe? Cool. We're actually working on this game now. It's a lot of pigs. I mean, when I see this, I just see. It was a talk earlier when a guy's profile picture was actually a pig. He was wearing a snout, and I just see pigs everywhere when I'm working on this game. I don't know why. So let's talk about marketability testing of Bad Piggies 2. So this was the unexpected journey leading up to this moment. And here we are. So I just wanted to share some learnings. And also, of course, not all of, because doing a marketability test is hard, right? It takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of effort for the artists that are involved. But first, what is marketability testing? It's when you actually test. It depends, really. Like, in this case, we had an IP, the Angry Birds IP, right? And then the marketability test becomes quite a lot more focused and a lot more easy. Like, if we make a new IP, this question is a lot harder to answer. Because then it's involved, like everything. We want to try, for this target audience, we want to try with the pirate bunnies. It's going to be stylized, 7+ years old. Or we're going to do this, alien, gore, brutal. And then you just test these up against each other, and you just see how it works. And it can be quite crazy, but that's why it's a little bit easier when you're having an IP to work from. So we would just want to test different art styles and relevant character attributes. And what I mean by that are these things. So for the art styles, I actually wanted to try to do a fully real-time 3D game in our studio, because we haven't done it in our studio before. Angry Birds 2 is, of course, a 2D and 3D kind of blend. All of the art is 2D, but it's using logic from the 3D realm. And I really want to test, okay, what if we just take like the art of Angry Birds 2, and we smash that into a screenshot, and we do a 3D screenshot, and we compare it to also Bad Piggies 1, just to see, do people maybe want nostalgia more than something new? And the million-dollar question for Rovio is, of course, bipedal pigs versus round pigs. This is hot and debated by the fans of Angry Birds. And I really wanted to challenge that, because the movie pig is not a very liked character for a few different reasons that I will get into later. So when you're doing a marketability test, you need to select screenshots. Like, you need to present it as a game, right? So you need to present it with different types of, like, it's like a fake app store. You bundle it with service. I will just jump forward a little bit here. The fake app store, because I think it's very relevant now. You want the person that is actually going into your game, well, in this case, the fake app store, and feeling like, is this something that I would want to play? And that's why it needs to be so much quality behind these images, just to see like, okay, and usually when they click, like, I want to know more, or see more, or play game, they will come to a service. So you bundle this with service. We used, for this particular game, we used Facebook and TikTok to get the traffic in. So we bought traffic just to present them to this. And of course, some of the people that completed these surveys took some interviews just to, and that was probably the bigger fans of this. So the desired art direction, what I really want to do, I had our brand, the IP, right? I had a big freedom. What's so great also with Rovio is that we're quite free to do what we want in the given studios with the brand. So of course we do have brand and licensing that is looking at these ideas and telling us if they're not completely crazy or not. But it's not like, oh, you're making a new house for the pigs. Oh, we need to check if that house is pig enough for me, No, so it's, the freedom is quite big, and I really felt that, okay, we need to try 3D, and we need this to feel like it's coming from Rovio Stockholm. That was my goal. And of course, we have one big success, which is Angry Birds 2. So I really wanted to take a lot of inspiration from that, what I really like the most with it. And what I really like the most is the color palette, the environment, the kind of transitions. But I want to simplify certain things, and I wanted to, as I said, create it in 3D. So sketching commenced. A team of some of the 3D artists, a visual development artist, and myself, we just started sketching and, of course, talking with marketing about what do we want to do, how should we present this to the players, right? So, first of all, selling the game, splash screen. We want to show the objective. We wanted to show some gameplay, some progression, and, of course, the characters. So this is how that kind of ended up. And we had also quite a short time to do this. I don't know why. I think we were just like pretty hard on ourselves. It's like, okay, here we go. We're ready. We're going to get this marketability test out in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it was. So we have no time to stand here around here and talk. So we just got to get in there. Got to start, getting this stuff out. So here are just some of the styles, or here are the styles that I was mentioning earlier. So a kind of an Angry Birds 2 style, here's the 3D style, and here's the Bad Pigs 1 style. And here's the first series of screenshots from the 3D style that we did. I actually helped out. I created the splash screen for it. However, since we were quite pressured on time, the only thing that we couldn't have time to do originally was the pig. That's the only thing I really wanted to change, but we had to use a pig from an old game just to save time. And I was like, damn. That's what I really wanted to change. But we'll see how it goes. Let's get it out there, Let's see what people say. Maybe they like this pig for some reason. But I didn't really feel like we were nailing it down with that. But overall, I think this was our first good shot. Here's the 2D style, the AB2 style. There's some of that sample. So it's exactly the same layout, as you can see. So if I go back and forth, you can see the difference. And then, of course, the BP1 style. Because we want to know if people would want to play this for nostalgia or not. So, the characters, just to show you a little bit more close-up of these. Here's the thing with characters, right? A few millimeters here and there, you can go from being beautiful to an abomination, right? So, I just want to show you also like the comparison on the marketability test videos that we did. So this is just basically using the still art by a marketing video team in Finland that helped us out with this. And they of course were also quite time pressured by this. We really just want to get something out, get some numbers, get something to work with. And let's go to the summary. So what went well? Well, we did it fast. That was one thing for sure. The art team, we created around 15 images that then marketing used to kind of cut them apart, and they made 3 unique videos, or unique scenes rather, and then they took the scenes in different orders and also in different aspect ratios, so we kind of ended up with 24 videos. We got a lot of good feedback, and it was a tight race between the 3D style and Angry Birds 2 style, and I was like, well, I was actually kind of surprised, because I thought it was going to be majority AB2 style, honestly. So what could have gone better? Overall 3D polish, as I mentioned. I think we should have taken a little bit more time to do that. And the bipedal pigs, that they got ripped apart. Yeah, they did. It was a sad day for that pig. The environments could have also, as I mentioned, be polished a bit more. And we want to polish the marketing videos a little bit further. So what are our next steps, right? So a second round, we're going to reduce the amount of screens. We're going to merge the AB2 style with the 3D style, just because they were so tightly in the race anyway. And we're going to focus on the actual pig instead, the quality, the presentation of it. How are we going to get people to like it? So we wanted to present them in a different way. And as I mentioned, improve the quality of the videos. So now let's take the time we need. Let's do it. Let's do that for a change. And what it started out with, it was looking at this pig for a long time and analyzing why I thought it wasn't, why people didn't like it. And I think there's quite a lot of reasons. But we did hundreds and hundreds of sketches, a few artists, just like what proportions should we get, what proportions should we end up with. I really wanted to get a little bit more inspired by, how a character can turn from looking so evil, like in a Pixar movie, looking really evil, to looking like adorable in the next second. Right? So take some inspiration from Disney and Pixar, and we ended up with this little character, which I also helped out, or that I created in combination from a lot of effort from the art team and the VisDev artist and character designer on this. And this is a comparison with the old pig. He's still sad that he wasn't in first place. But now we had a pig that we were happy with, right? So it's about looking at this, and you look at what we had, and we replaced that with that new pig. So here are just an example of these styles that we did for the second round. So it's the new 3D pig, it's the round pig, in a bit more in the 3D world, and then it's the old original style as well. So we went from this, we reduced the screen, and this is what we ended up with. So just to go back and forth a bit here, you can see the difference, especially in the gameplay screen and also in the character screen. We really just wanted to put the focus on one character, and it's like, this is you, right? Here's the round pig, and here's the bad pig is one style. And the videos. A little bit shorter, a little bit more focus on the quality, not so stressed as it was in the beginning, and really do that. So the steps that we took, right? We merged the AB2 style with the 3D style. We improved the quality of the pig. We presented it in a different way with more focus on the character. We did improve the quality of the videos, and we took the time we need. Here I just wanted to say that looking at these screenshots, and by me saying, I don't really know what else to do here, that's a good sign. I don't know how to improve this. Let's send it out. So what went well? Well, it won the test. It was the best data, and I was really happy about that. This is what I felt. I don't know who this guy is, but I love this GIF. I use it quite a lot. So if any one of you know, please let me know. I would love to know his name. So what does this mean, everyone? So we have what we needed, finally, right, for this game. Marketing team was happy. The leadership team was happy. But most importantly, us and the artists were happy, because this is what we wanted to do. And now it's just full steam ahead with our desired art direction. We got to do it in 3D, that a lot of people didn't believe that we were going to pull it off, but we did. And we got the pigs on our side as well, so we could work a lot better with customization and with animation quality. And we already had a lot of screenshots that already set the tone. So it was really, in terms of being an art director, it's like, this is what we have now. So it's a lot of intense work to getting to where we are. And hopefully you can play Bad Piggies 2 soon as well. Thank you, everyone. All right. We have maybe a minute or so for questions, if anyone has any questions.
All right.
Hi, thank you for that. It was very entertaining. You mentioned interviews at the end of the marketability testing. Could you give us an example of some of the questions that were asked as part of that interview?
Oh, absolutely. So in terms of the interview, we had a person that is purely working with a lot with player research and audiences and so on. And some of the questions that we defined were like, why did you like this? Like, if you voted for this, why did you like it over this one? In terms of the character, what do you like and what do you dislike with it? In terms of this style, like, why didn't you choose, this instead? Just to try and get, the honesty out, like what you really mean with this, right? So it was just an extension, and of course, a lot of people that it's just a handful of people that really wants to go to the interview also, right? So those also, you could call them like super fans, I guess, but sometimes you also need to understand like when to listen, when not to listen, or at least take that input and listen to it, because it gives you a clue of what you're doing. So in terms of the pig, for example, they were just like, most of the ones like, I don't know, I just hate it. It's because they also were designed in a way to be kind of intimidating in the movie. So we needed to just like take a different turn to like, how can we make them likable at all times? Hope that answers.
More questions?
Yes, over here.
Like Rovio is a big studio, so they have like money and resources for marketability testing in like for 3D with shadows and like 2D. So like suppose there is a small studio and they don't have enough money and resources for marketability testing in 3 different sectors. So like will it really affect downloads or the profits? Like we can generally do push a product without marketability testing in simple 2D or 3D?
Good question. If you don't have that budget or that time, just honestly like look at something that inspires you as a team, right? Take a leap of faith, right? It's tricky with marketability testing, and it's something that's getting very common in free-to-play games. Etienne can give me a +1 on that, I assure you. So I would honestly just say do what inspires you as a team. Try to push your own boundaries and be happy with your own results, right? Because that is what's going to drive you forward. That's going to want you to really push this to the next step. Live on your own, exactly. Live on your own kind of inspiration. And be open, share with the team. What do you think we should do? Like, is this good enough, right? Why is it not good enough? Ask yourself.
We have spilled over a bit, so maybe I can take like a 1 or 2 questions, or otherwise Michel can be available a bit offline here, and you can have a one-to-one kind of question, and we can move to the next one. Is there any more question or
Final shot.
final question? Right, I think it's a wrap. We can be ready for the next session. I have a little something from Michel, and thank you so much for a great presentation.
Thank you. It was one more question there.
One more question. Yeah. Okay. Am I audible? Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so that was an interesting session. Okay, so my question was, when we were going for conserve of piggies, did you had any certain age or like audience in your mind when going for the piggies? Because you could have gone for 3 different like animals for 3 different unique videos, right? But you have gone for 3 different piggies. So what was your thought process behind that?
All right, so if we had any age or like target audience in mind for the pig that we used, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or for the pig that we created. Honestly, I wanted it to be likable as by many as people as possible, from young people all the way to more young adults, which was our main target audience, right? So not necessarily young, but from Gen Z upwards to 30, 40, 50s. I think I wanted everyone to be able to look at this and feel like, oh, that's cute, and that's dorky, and that's funny, and then like it has the ability to bend its personality into what it feels. And that to me is more important, because then you can make it look like it has authority or that it's cute or it's, you know, like, so that's why the proportions become so important.
And may I know, like, why did you went for 3 variation of piggy instead of going for different animal per unique videos?
Why we went with pigs?
Yeah, for every unique videos.
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
You had 3 different unique videos, right, for marketability testing.
Yeah?
So why was everyone considered piggies instead of you could have gone for different animal, right?
Oh.
Why not dog or like
Okay,
cat?
okay. Thank you. Sorry, the volume here is very hard to hear. Why we didn't try other animals? It was because, of course, because it's pigs, right? Angry Birds versus pigs, birds versus pigs, and we already had Bad Pigs 1, right? So it's just like it's no use in terms of trying to persuade the audience into liking bad chickens instead or bad turtles. I don't think, I don't think everyone would call me crazy if I would try a turtle. So we stuck with pigs. All right, thank you.